Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. So welcome aboard. Today is Thursday, March 14th, 2019. This is episode 265 of The Daily Dope. So on today's show, I am actually going to crack open and take a look at the John Carter of Mars role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. Now, this is the collector's slipcase, so there are actually two books in here. They are they're actually landscapes, so I believe they lay like this. So we are going to be taking a look at that in just a little bit, and I am going to give away 2 copies of the core rules to, it's officially Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom role-playing game. So, and I will be referring to it as John Carter of Mars from here on out, because that is one seriously long title. I thought Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of was a mouthful. This one, much bigger mouthful. So, do want to mention that this is a live stream. This is a very, very casual show. Basically, kick back. I talk about tabletop gaming, do some unboxings, do some reviews. Hey, Kabuki Kid's popping in. Hey, Kabuki Kid, welcome aboard. So, very, very casual show. It's just very relaxed. It's not brain surgery here, or what do we used to say? Rocket surgery or brain science. But there is chat available. So if you are watching live, Kabuki Kid just chimed in. If you are watching live on YouTube, be sure to say hello. If you've got a question, by all means fire away. If there's something about John Carter of Mars that I'm taking a look at, you want a better peek at, by all means, just chime in. I will respond. Do want to mention that chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to the chat. Do want to say, if you like the show, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel and you like them, please subscribe. Don't forget, ring that little bell. It'll not only notify you of when a new video is added, but it'll also tell you when the stream is going live, which is normally around 7 o'clock Central Standard Time in the evenings. Also, great way to help spread the word about the Gaming Gang and the Daily Dope. Tell a friend. So Lead Magnet's popping in. Does it mean I should put the scalpel down? Please, please. And don't be running around your house with sharp objects in your hand either. Good to see you, Lead Magnet. So, got some news today. Going to talk a little bit about some news. Got some interesting things going on. I'll talk about what's coming up on the show both tomorrow as well as into next week. Though I got to point out, I'm thinking I might take a little vacation after next week. Don't know. I will discuss that in a little bit after we jump into the news. Do have quite a good amount of news today. Some pretty cool stuff. And also want to point out, if you are one of those folks out there who watches the Daily Dope but can't stand the tabletop gaming news, please look in the show notes below. There are timestamps you can skip right past. Yes, hey, tell 2 friends, they'll tell 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on. Wasn't that, it was a shampoo commercial, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember who it was. It wasn't Head and Shoulders. But it's like, wasn't it Prel? For some reason, I want to say it was Prel, and it's like, tell 2 friends, they'll tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. And they kept like backing out and showing more and more and more and more people. I seem to recall that. Then again, maybe I'm just losing my mind. All right, let's jump on into the news because this November, Mythic Games is going to be bringing their strangely unique seeming Time of Legends Joan of Arc miniatures game to retail, and I've got the dope. Time of Legends Joan of Arc is a narrative miniatures board game of dark fantasy and historical action. Players plunge into the heart of the 100 Years' War with the various scenarios in the game, featuring a modular hex tile board, area activation system, custom dice, and custom card decks. Time of Legends Joan of Arc is a highly flexible gaming system which allows for a variety of different play experiences. In the five, what did I say? Fime? It's not a word, Jeff. Fime isn't a word. Hey, it's the end of the world, and I feel fime. In the 5 scenarios found only in the core set, you will face off Joan of Arc and John Talbot in the skirmishes before the Battle of Patay, capture a cockatrice and use it to terrorize a village, hunt on a werewolf, search for hidden treasure whilst avoiding becoming prey to the legendary creatures that stalk the land, and stage a desperate last stand between the French and English armies. In addition to these scenarios, the Time of Legends Joan of Arc core set will also feature a replayable battle mode system which utilizes variable maps, deployment, and victory conditions. The miniatures in this box will allow 2 players to select their armies and square off on the battlefield. Whether you're playing through a scenario or fighting a battle, you're free to control the army of miniatures that represent your heroes, knights, and peasants as you wish in order to achieve your goals. You decide who moves and where, whether your forces explore, pray, converse with locals, or simply charge into battle. There is no word on exactly what's in this core starter box, but expect Time of Legends Joan of Arc to carry an MSRP of $60 when it arrives in November. Fabergé Organic Shampoo is what Kabuki Kid says. Is the and so on, and so on, and so on. So Kabuki Kid is saying, I'm curious about this Joan of Arc game. I am too. So I saw this before it went to Kickstarter. It was at Gen Con. And they had a pretty good... If you've been to Gen Con, you know there's the main exhibit hall. And then about 4 years ago, they opened up another section of the exhibit hall, which was not used previously. So now there's more exhibitors in the exhibit hall. But this one section is what we kind of kidded around was the Dirt Mall section, because it was all first-time companies. And if you go to a convention, sometimes you'll see a company and they've got a game that you're just like, I don't know, that doesn't look like that's going to sell. And the poor person from that company is sitting there all by themselves, you know, sitting at the booth. Well, thankfully, the past few years, they've kind of mixed some other established companies into the Dirt Mall, so it's not really the Dirt Mall area anymore. But that's where this Joan of Arc game was at. And they had a pretty good-sized exhibit area. And I saw this, and the first thing that popped in my head was, what the... It's like history and fantasy. And okay, so it's the 100 Years' War and fantasy. Just like they're showing a miniature for a cockatrice, which is the same as a basilisk, right? No, they're different. They're similar, but they're different. And the cockatrice is huge compared to this other miniature. Now, I don't know if that's the actual scale, but I always thought a cockatrice was fairly small, maybe even like the size of a dog. Sure, this thing is like the size of a dragon. Although the miniatures look cool, and this is supposed to be kind of a battle game. It's not a miniatures game. I don't think it's super crunchy, and I think it's got some sort of kind of like role-playing game elements to it. So I'm with you, Kabuki Kid. I'm curious about this. I don't know if it's any good. I have no idea. I know it did well as far as the Kickstarter. It brought in a lot of money, and it is going to arrive in stores in North America in November, and it's only going to be $60. which I also wonder how many miniatures are going to come with that for $60. I don't know. I have no idea. But if I find out more, I will definitely spread the news. Kabuki says, I think a basilisk could be small, like the size of a chicken. Yeah, because a basilisk and a cockatrice kind of have the same sort of a head, where they both have a kind of almost like a rooster head or a chicken head. So supposedly they're very, very similar, but one is supposed to be like the egg of a snake or toad that is like hatched by like a rooster. And so that's the basilisk. And the cockatrice is supposed to be the egg from a hen, which is hatched by a snake or a toad. It's like, okay. I just think of the fantasy style where a basilisk is more of a kind of like a reptile, right? And then a cockatrice is more of kind of like a dragon with a chicken head. I don't know. I have no idea. Hey, like I said, the miniatures for Joan of Arc look pretty cool. All right, moving right along. A game that was about to launch a Kickstarter on Wednesday, so it was supposed to start yesterday, for the German company Funtails, instead found itself picked up for publication by Renegade Game Studios. And here's the dope. In Glenmore 2 Chronicles, each player represents the leader of a Scottish clan from the early medieval ages until the 19th century, a leader looking to expand their territory and wealth. The success of your clan depends on your ability to make the right decision at the right time, be it by creating a new pasture for your livestock, growing barley for whiskey production, selling your goods on various markets, or gaining control of special landmarks such as locks and castles. No battling, I guess. I don't have any other images I can share except for the cover, but I did see some photos that somebody had taken. This looks very, very Euro-y. Glenmore 2 Chronicles is a sequel to, you guessed it, Glenmore, expanding the gameplay substantially compared to the original game. This features lead your clan while expanding your territory and increasing your wealth in the Scottish Highlands. Create pasture for your livestock, grow barley, sell goods, and gain control of landmarks. It also includes 8 expansions that are freely combined to add new gameplay to the base game. Carefully crafted for 2 to 4 leaders, ages 12 and up, to conquer in 90 to 120 minutes. Do want to point out there is not an exact date for release. I am hearing later this year, or I should say maybe more along the lines of late this year. There is no MSRP info available yet. Taking a look at what it should be, I'm guessing, knowing how Renegade Game Studios usually prices their titles, I'm guessing probably $49.99-ish, somewhere in that vicinity. So, yeah, so Kabuki Kid says, yes, the D&D Basilisk has 8 legs and is sort of lizard-ish. It's got like a lizard head. That's going to be our topic for the entire show. It's cockatrices and basilisks. And you know what? Why don't we just throw Medusa in just for good measure, right? Let's bust out all the paralyzing gaze creatures there are in fantasy. Okay, so moving right along. It's Thursday. We're talking RPGs. How about some RPG news? But before I do, Kabuki Kid says they played the original Glenmore. Oh, what did you think of it? Pop your answer up in chat. So anyway, while you're doing that, let's move into some role-playing game news, because the Android universe is expanding for Fantasy Flight Games' Genesis RPG system, and I've got the dope on Shadow of the Beanstalk. In the not-so-distant future, isn't that how MST3K's song starts? In the not-too-distant future? Anyway, in the not-so-distant future, humanity is spread out across the solar system, unlocked the frontiers of cyberspace, and created millions of intelligent androids in its own image. At the heart of this progress stands a ladder leading to the riches of the stars, and the massive space elevator called the Beanstalk. And at its base sprawls the biggest, meanest, and most exciting city on Earth, New Angeles. Yes. New Angelinos out there. Fantasy Flight Games is proud to present Shadow of the Beanstalk, an Android sourcebook for the Genesis role-playing system. Take on the role of cops, con artists, roughnecks, and escaped androids trapped between greedy corporations, corrupt officials, and vicious street gangs. What is this, Detroit? Oh, I'm just kidding. Outwit your foes, uncover their conspiracies, flee their retribution, and maybe you'll survive. Who knows? Maybe you'll even get rich. Shadow of the Beanstalk is a 256-page sourcebook for use with the Genesis role-playing system. In this book, you'll find new rules for character creation, new weapons, equipment, and adversaries, new rules for running the net, information on the Android universe, and advice for game masters running a campaign in the cyberpunk future of Android. All of this accompanied by beautiful art and elegant mechanics that can be used in any setting for the Genesis role-playing system. As mentioned, the 256-page Shadow of the Beanstalk sourcebook is available in print for $49.95 or in PDF from DriveThruRPG for $24.95. Kabuki Kid says their group absolutely loved Glenmore. Highly regarded. Nice. Cool deal. I'd heard of it, I just hadn't played it. And it wasn't from this Fun Tales company. That I know for sure. So there you have it. You've got the Android sourcebook. It's now out in print and PDF. Kind of say it's kind of pricey though. $50 for, well, I guess if it's hardcover, that's okay. PDF to me, $24.95 for 256 pages. Strikes me as a little pricey. Little bit pricey. Hey, at least it's in PDF though. Unlike the Star Wars stuff from Fantasy Flight Games that you will not see in PDF. Well, I take that back, unless you're looking at illegal scans, pirated scans. All right, moving right along. Pelgrane Press has a pre-order going on right now for the latest adventure supplement for Cthulhu Confidential. I've got the dope. Equipped with your smarts, your notebook, and your code of honor, you scour city streets in search of its deepest secrets. Some secrets go deeper than others. Even Death Can Die features 9 twisting, turning adventures in a world both hard-boiled and cosmically horrific. There's one for the money. Scholarly World War II vet Langston Wright fights for room to breathe in wartime Washington under the shadow of Jim Crow. Rhino Jones is one tough cookie, and he makes it impossible to turn down a demand to identify the culprit who stole from him and killed his crew. This plunges Langston into a blurred otherworld of corrupt businessmen, Nazi spies, and a deadly weapon prototype. Dun dun dun. There's the shadow over Washington. Langston knows an ancient enemy is rising, but he is trapped 1,000,000 years away. All right, spoilers, come on. An extraterrestrial intelligence inhabits Langston's body, dodging bullets, as well as a monster controlled by a megalomaniac. Can Langston regain his selfhood in time to save the nation's capital? There's also Preacher Man Blues. This is a lot of Langston Wright stuff, which I believe these adventures are written by Chris Spivey, who is well known for the Call of Cthulhu sourcebook. Well, it's also a sourcebook for Trail of Cthulhu too, the excellent Harlem Unbound. So definitely check that out. Anyway, there's Preacher Man Blues. Langston Wright investigates a traveling fire and brimstone preacher, spurring the black community to action. The police want him silenced. Local churches want him to move on. What do those slaughtered animals have to do with it? And there's 6 more tales of the macabre, or as I remember CBS CBS Radio Mystery Theater back in the 70s. E.G. Marshall was the host, and he always said macabre. I never know if it's macabre or macabre, though I kind of like macabre. Anyway, you can reserve the 360-page supplement for $49.95. I believe the expected release date is going to be this summer because there is some word that supposedly the PDF will arrive in the fall. Hey, and Ghost World's popping in. Good to see you, Ghost. I'll be pretty quiet tonight. I'm super busy with work. That's okay. I like Kabuki Kid says, as I mentioned the pirated Star Wars stuff from Fantasy Flight Games, pirates will always supply it if it doesn't exist legally. Yeah, that's pretty much true. So Kabuki Kid's actually playing some games. Cool deal. So that's good. Yeah, macabre. That's what I've always said. But like I said, E.G. Marshall used to say macabre. Okay, and finally, do want to mention, I believe the sale is going on only for this week, but all of the N Publishing titles from N World are on sale up to 66% at Drive-Thru RPG. Right now, you can currently snag the core books for New, the science fiction role-playing game, Old, the heroic fantasy role-playing game, Now, the modern role-playing game, and all of those core books are $3.40 each. Yes, you heard me right. $3.40. There's also 3 parts of the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons War of the Burning Sky campaign, which are about 60 pages or so in each one, and you guessed it, they're $3.40. Although I have to point out, I thought War of the Burning Sky is actually 5 parts, because I think it was originally for Pathfinder. I think it was Pathfinder. And it's being ported over to 5th edition, and they're not done yet. So there are other releases from N Publishing also on sale. They're not at such a large discount, mainly about 20% off. And sadly, the new Judge Dredd and the Worlds of 2000 AD titles are not on sale. Boo, boo. So, anyway, do want to mention, if you are popping over to Drive-Thru RPG or any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. Even if you're going to, like, Drive-Thru Cards, if you click on our Drive-Thru RPG banner and just switch from that website, I think it still keeps our affiliate code. But anyway, if you make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale, and those all really do add up. So, yes, so Kabuki Kid says both pronunciations may be acceptable. Sweet! Sweet deal. Yeah, like I said, I hear macabre, I've heard macabre, and I want to say there's a podcast. I don't think it's Lore that I listen to. I think it was another podcast that's kind of spooky stuff. And they said the same thing. They said macabre. Oh, yeah, I know what it is. It's, now I can't remember the name of it. It's about strange things in Canada. Like, really bizarre, like, you know, some stuff, like, supernatural. Some of it's, like, unsolved mysteries and things like that. So, yeah, the Judge Dredd game should be kind of cool. Funny enough, Cubicle 7 Entertainment was in the running to do Judge Dredd when Mongoose was losing the license. And funny enough, I talked to Dominic McDowell. I guess this was sort of off the record, but it doesn't really matter now. I had asked him, hey, what's going on with Judge Dredd? Because I did an interview with him at Gen Con one year, and he was talking about, yeah, that they were looking at maybe picking that up. And Dominic said, I don't like Judge Dredd, so that's why I didn't really want to do the role-playing game. So he's like, which made a lot of sense, right? Why would you invest, you know, time and energy into a game based on something that you don't care for? So, what's cooking on future shows? So, first off, I mentioned on yesterday's show that Lost Battalion Games was going to send me some Sergeant's Miniatures game stuff. It is on the way. So that is going to arrive. It's supposed to arrive on Monday. So I'm going to actually show those off on Wednesday's show. So that's going to be our War Game Wednesday. Yeah, C7 has Doctor Who. The Doctor Who role-playing game, I love the Doctor books. Those are fantastic. You don't even have to be a role-playing game fan to really dig them, because they go through every episode. And it's pretty cool, too, with the Patrick Troughton book, because so many of those episodes are long gone. We're never seeing them again because the BBC erased those tapes. So the synopsises and stuff are some of the best information you can get about those episodes. So anyway, we will have Sergeants, the miniatures game, on Wednesday's show. I was talking to Paizo Publishing today, their rep, and yep, we are going to start seeing a lot of Paizo stuff. Mainly when it finally, when the second edition comes out. But yes, their rep, because they used to have somebody else who worked for them who was super hit or miss, and I was like, yeah, I'm not even bothering to ask her for review stuff, because it would be, yeah. Anyway, the rep they've got now is like, yeah, he's like, oh yeah, dude, I really want you to cover Pathfinder, Starfinder. It's like, I'll let you know every month what's coming out. You tell us what you want. We're going to set up some interviews, too. Do some interviews with some of the folks over at Paizo working on the second edition, as well as some adventures, too. Hey, I don't like My Little Pony, but I wouldn't turn down the license if I knew it would make some cheddar. I wouldn't either. But, I don't know. Judge Dredd... I could see Judge Dredd being pretty hit or miss. I don't think it was a big seller for Mongoose. But then again, Mongoose, sorry to say it, they're not a very well-run company. Their Traveler stuff that comes out, you'll have something that's good, and people will suddenly be like, hey, Mongoose is finally, getting their act together, and then their next two releases for Traveler are complete garbage. So, I don't know. Anyway, so on tomorrow's show, I am going to review The Witcher from R. Talsorian Games and CD Projekt Red. So I will be reviewing this. I'm still up in the air if I'm going to do an afternoon show or if I'm going to do the regular 7 o'clock show. I'm leaning towards 7 o'clock, sticking to the regular time. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please do, because I always post, what's coming up on that day's show, what time it's going to be. So I am going to be reviewing The Witcher, and I'm also going to take a first look at Dark War Rebooted from Tiny Battle Publishing. So this is kind of the deluxe edition of Mark H. Walker's kind of like horror, military horror role-playing game. So that will be on tomorrow's show. Then on Monday's show, we are going to take a look at Forum Trajanum. I'm going to unbox this from Stronghold Games. So we got that. And Tuesday, I'm not sure what's cooking. Next Thursday, I'm not positive what's cooking either. Don't know. Might look at Cyberpunk. Don't know. We'll find out. So anyways, that's what's kind of cooking. Anyway, so before I jump into the first look at John Carter of Mars, let me once again point out, if you like the Gaming Gang, if you dig the Daily Dope, please consider making a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the Association for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Yes, because Lil Bub's Big Fund actually supports organizations that care for special needs animals who are awaiting adoption. And they could have a variety of different issues as they're awaiting to find their forever homes. So anyway, but good old Lil Whizbub. Haha, Lil Whizbub's asking, come on, Jeff doesn't hit you up for money. Consider making a small donation. Yes, it's bub time. If you got the time, we've got the bub. Bum, 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 bum. Avatar: The Last Airbub. It almost sounds like, kind of like marijuana related there, don't it? Wow. So, I am going to be taking a look at the collector's slipcase for Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom core book, as well as the Phantoms Campaign Guide that are in the collector's edition slipcase. The core book clocks in at 288 pages. The guide clocks in at 128 pages. The MSRP on the slipcase is $99.99. You can score the books separately for $55.99 and $33.99, respectively. They are available in PDF right now. The core book can be had from DriveThruRPG for $19.99, and the Phantom Campaign Guide is $14.99. Kabuki Kid says, yes, I always think of Bub from My Three Sons. Yep. William Frawley, yeah. Uncle Joe, wasn't it Uncle Joe? Isn't that it? Isn't he Uncle Joe? I seem to recall that. All right, so if you tuned in a little late, like Ghost World usually gets here a few minutes late, you may not have heard, I am actually going to give away 2 copies of the core book for John Carter of Mars in PDF. One of them I'm going to give away to somebody watching right now. The other one is going to be reserved for people to comment on this video on YouTube once it's done rendering. So I am going to do the giveaway for those watching live in... That was it, Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie. From My Three Sons. I used to watch that all the time in reruns. I was not old enough. I'm not old enough to have watched it when it was originally on. That was actually a pretty good show. And well, granted, it's probably about 20 years since I saw a rerun of it. But even at that point, it hadn't aged too badly. It was still pretty good. Anyway, so first off, if you are not watching live, if you are watching this after the fact, I am going to ask you this question. I'm going to also ask this question again at the end of the look, at the page through. So all you got to do to be in the running to win a copy of the John Carter of Mars role-playing game core book in PDF is tell me who your favorite science fiction hero is. Easy peasy. All you got to do is put that in a comment. In the comment, please say, my favorite sci-fi hero or SF hero or science fiction hero is... comments look really weird if it's just like Han Solo. So please put, is your answer, my favorite science fiction hero is, or character, what have you. So that is how those who are not watching live right now can win a copy in PDF. All right, so Honor Harrington. There you go. I have not read any of those books, though, Kabuki Kid. I think that is one where it's, hey, you don't have to answer that question. You guys are watching live. You're in chat. You don't have to throw that out there. But that is actually a good answer. Yeah, I have not checked out that series. I've heard some pretty good things about it. Okay, so who's watching live? We got Ghost World, we got Kabuki Kid, and I believe we got Lead Magnet. So chime in if you are in chat right this moment. I'll give you a few seconds to so yeah, I'm here. So I know Ghost World and Kabuki Kid are here. I'm not sure if Lead Magnet's here or not. So all right, going once, going twice, 3 times. Ba-ba-da-ba. Okay, so it looks like it might just be Ghost and Kabuki Kid. All right, okay. Hey, I gotta point out, yesterday's show, there were over 30 people who were watching live on YouTube last night. I thought that was pretty cool. Usually, it's about 5 or 6 people. There's been a few times I've had like 15, but usually it's like 5 or 6. And there are a lot of people who just lurk. They never say hello. They never say hi in chat or anything like that, which is fine, which is cool. All right, so there's 2 people watching right now as far as I know. I have not actually jumped in to take a look. So, what do you say? 1 to 3 is Kabuki Kid, and 4 to 6, and this is a 1, I believe. Yep. This little icon here represents a 1. 4 to 6. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I thought lead magnet's more of a you're a war gamer, just hanging out, which is cool. It's pretty cool. All right, so we've got 1 to 3 is gonna be Kabuki Kid. 4 to 6 is Ghost World as far as winning the PDF. So, Kabuki Kid is the winner. Kabuki Kid is the winner. Kabuki Kid, do me a favor, shoot me an email to the email address that's down in the corner, and I will get you all set up. I brought the crowd but missed the show myself, says Ghost. Yeah, Lead's like, no, I don't want in. If I remember correctly, Lead Magnet won one of my GMT contests I did. So, isn't I don't know. I don't know if Lead wants me to share his real name, but yes, I am 99.9% positive that Lead actually did get some cool GMT stuff. All right, so that is that. Let's go move on over to the other camera here. I am seeing a couple of drop frames, but nothing too crazy. So last night I noticed, and I believe all of you guys were watching last night's show, and there was a part where like it almost like froze up and everything else, and it turns out when I watched the rendered video, it was fine. Didn't have anything going on. So, so I don't, one of the things where I see some drop frames in that, I keep forgetting I'm streaming at 60 frames per second. That's why everything's kind of clearer and has more of a kind of video look to it on recent videos. Instead of, I don't want to necessarily say film. The 30 frames per second were fine, but just nothing thrilling. I actually really do like the 60 frames per second better. Okay, so let's open this up. So this is the collector's slipcase, just like so. So there are 2 books in here, and as I mentioned, these are landscaped. So let's slide these on out. So we've got the core rulebook, Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom, and Phantoms of Mars. So this is the campaign guide. So this is more towards the GM. Of course, this is the players and the GMs. So it does use the 2D20 system. That I know for a fact. So let's, I'm going to move these over to the side for a moment. I'm going to put on ye old reading specs. And let's take a look at the back. So, Editor Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars' Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom transports you to the red planet of Barsoom, an arid dying land of ancient civilizations and fearsome creatures. Begin your adventures of romance and heroism using a pulp action-inspired variant of the 2D20 system. Take on the role of heroes as you travel, battle, and romance your way across the wondrous and dangerous world of Barsoom. Play as John Carter, Princess Deja Thoris, the fearsome Thark warrior Tars Tarkus, or create your own heroes from an exciting variety of options. All right, there's a bunch of other stuff on the back. We're not gonna dive too far into that. Let's open this up. Let's pull this down. Let's see if we can zoom in just a touch. I don't want to cut anything off here, so. There we go. We should be okay there. So we've got the map of Barsoom. Very, very nice paper quality here. That's usually the case with the European published role-playing game books. Great example would be, well, Ulysses North America, which are actually printed over in Germany. And we also have Free League, which the Swedish company, which their books are always really nice. So this is the hardcover core book that you can get just by itself for the $55.99. So I was going to say there are a lot of credits in this book. That's why I didn't go, oh, it's written by so and so and so and so and so and so. And I didn't go through all the artists too, because look at that. Look at all of these artists. So, what I will do, let's give these folks some credit here. I'll hold that up there for a second. All right, Kabuki Kid, thanks for popping in. Might see you a little bit later. That's cool. So Ghost says they remind me of children's picture books from Scholastic or something. Yeah, you know, I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of a role-playing game book that came like a landscape book like this. I've seen art books, but not a role-playing game book, so that's kind of unusual. All right, so let's take a look. That's some pretty small fonts there. That is pretty small print. So we've got Welcome to Barsoom. So we've got kind of an intro here from Jack Norris. So we've got Chapter 1, Welcome to Barsoom. Rationalism, Romanticism, and Pulp Role-Playing. So that's one thing that I'm kind of curious about as far as John Carter, because there is quite a bit of romance in the novels. If I remember correctly, I think aren't there 12 novels that Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote? And they're not all about John Carter. In fact, at one point, don't they think John Carter's dead on Mars? They think he's dead. So, and strangely enough, if I remember correctly, John Carter is actually immortal, and it has nothing to do with Mars. He just happens to be immortal. It's been a long, long time. I would say it's got to be well more than 35 years since I read a John Carter book. So let me pull this down a little bit. There we go. I don't want to be blocking anything off. So getting ready to play, new to role-playing. Okay, well, at least we don't have 5 or 6 pages of, hey, there's how a role-playing game works. Eras of play. I believe there are 3 different eras that you can play that are basically from the books. So you've got the era before John Carter and Deja Thoris marry, then when they're married, and then I want to say the last few books are about John Carter's son. So we have Creating Your Adventurer. So, and this does use the 2D20 system, kind of like Mutant Chronicles and Conan, Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. So we've got the different attributes. We've got cunning, daring, empathy, might, passion, and reason. And from 1 to 12, selecting your race. So you've got Green Martians, Red Martians, Earthborn, Firstborn, and Okar. So you've got the different colored Martians. So we've got the Red Martians, the Green Martians, Okar, Earthborn, Mixed Heritage, Firstborn. Selecting an archetype. So we've got Airship Officer, Assassin, Beastmaster, Duelist. I bet you there's a lot of these, just like they had with the Conan role-playing game. Envoy, Explorer, Fugitive, Gladiator, Guide, Healer. Panthen, Rogue, Scientist, Soldier, Spy. Tinkerer, Tailor? No, don't see Tinkerer, Tailor. So we've got select a descriptor. So we've got like bold, courageous, brash, romantic, savage, devoted. We've got talents, starting, renown, and equipment. Optional rule, no core equipment. If the narrator approves and it fits a character's concept, they may refuse any core equipment at character generation. If they do so, they either receive an extra starting renown or an extra grade 1 talent of their choice. So talking about the Red Martians, the different kinds of Martians again. What's in a name? Character generation walkthrough. Not as much art as I was expecting. So here we've got some example characters here. It's like for each of the cultures. Then we got talents. Talking about what are talents, designing talents, using talents. So we've got grade 1 talents, grade 2 talents, grade 3, grade 4. Not a ton of them. Multi-effect talents. Okay. Fearsome might, perceptive scientist. Aha, here we got, there's even a little bookmark. Get that out of the way. So we got section 2 here. Adventuring in Barsoom. Talking about your 20-sided die and your combat die. Your attributes, complications, test difficulty. Voluntary failure, success at cost. Attribute challenges, improving the odds. Talking about momentum, which isn't that what really the 2D20 system is known as over at Modiphius? Isn't it called the momentum system? I could have swore I thought that's the name for it. They don't necessarily call it the 2D20 system. Momentum outside of tests, narrator characters, and momentum. Common uses for it. Threats, action scenes. Using minis. Yes, I do know that Modiphius Entertainment has a bunch of pretty cool looking miniatures. I want to say they're resin. They are not lead. They are not plastic. And they've got a bunch because I think, we're going to see this in a second, but I think there's actually some miniatures rules in the campaign book. There is also a free quick start that's available in PDF on Drive-Thru RPG. If you'd like to check out the John Carter of Mars role-playing game without actually making an investment, see if it's, if it's up your alley. I want to say it's got some quick start rules. It's got some pre-gen characters, and I think there's also a quick adventure as well. So we've got combat, luck, weapons, technology, and equipment. I have to admit, I saw the Disney John Carter movie, and I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was fine. I know a lot of people were just, they hated it. They thought it was terrible. It was a huge flop. But it wasn't as bad as some movies that I've had people tell me, oh yeah, it's really good. You got to see this. And I'll watch it, and I'm like, that's crap. What are you talking about? Okay, so talking about technology. To me, now, maybe this is just off the top of my head here. This is looking less crunchy than Conan. Conan seemed to be a bit more crunchy as far as a lot of core rules and stuff. Now, it's possible that we're going to get into that once we get past like the player-facing section of this. But I don't know. Find out. Yes, the Jed and Jedek. Okay, section 3, we've got the history of Barsoom, the Green Hordes, the Red Kingdoms, Okar and beyond Barsoom. So here we go with the history, which of course Mars is dying. That's what's going on when John Carter first arrives on the planet. After he pulls a Rip Van Winkle in that cave. So one thing I'm kind of curious about is, I know there are a lot of folks out there who feel that Edgar Rice Burroughs was pretty racist. Not to like the extent like H.P. Lovecraft, but I know there are people out there who feel that like Tarzan, the Tarzan books and the John Carter books are kind of racist. So for like an example, the Green Marshals or Marshals, the Green Martians are kind of the equivalent of Native Americans, and they're kind of like noble savages as far as Burroughs is concerned. I don't know. See, on one hand, it's been so long since I read the stories, I don't remember any, like, something that really stood out to me. Of course, I remember John Carter's actually a Confederate officer. Well, the war is over, but he was, I want to say, a Confederate officer. But I don't remember anything that really stood out, except for, like, the way the Green Martians are kind of represented in the books. Like I said, absolutely nothing like H.P. Lovecraft. But here's the weird thing that I kind of think, because I'm one of these people where I find it difficult to separate the person from the time that they lived. So not necessarily like I can't separate the person and their acts. No, it's like, you know, musicians and stuff like that. No. But I have a hard time separating the person from their time, just like in Ken Burns' great Civil War documentary, the multi-part PBS Civil War. There's an African-American historian who kind of rags on Abraham Lincoln and talking about how, you know, he should have done so much more and things like that. Well, yeah, coming from the 1990s, it would be pretty easy to say that, but you have to kind of look at it. Well, this was the 1860s, so having written the John Carter books, which I think were like in the first, what was it, the first John Carter, A Princess of Mars, isn't that from like 1912 or something? I kind of, you know, I don't know. But one thing that I run across is there are a lot of people out there who, you know, for an example, like, oh, H.P. Lovecraft, oh, horrible racist and misogynist and anti-Semite and all these other things. It's impossible for me to possibly even consider playing a Call of Cthulhu game or Lovecraftian game because of him. And these are the same people who will sit there and be like, well, of course I can listen to Michael Jackson music. It's like, what? It's like the guy molested little kids, but you're still going to listen to Michael Jackson music, and you're going to sit there and complain about, like, Edgar Rice Burroughs or H.P. Lovecraft or any number of authors in the early part of the 20th century? It's like, I don't know. All right, so continuing on through the history here. Beyond Barsoom. So we've got Earth, the Moon, we've got Venus. Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote a series about like a hero on Venus. I think it's like a 4-book series. I never read those though. So got Mercury, Jupiter, Moons of Barsoom. So now it looks like we're getting into the GM section because it says Narrators of Mars, and I believe that is what the Game Master is known as in John Carter of Mars, is the narrator. So 5 rules for an effective narrator. Be fair, be exciting, be consistent, be unpredictable, and be cooperative. Those are 5 good tips for anybody with any game. Have campaign focus, dramatic tricks. I was always famous for busting out like the dream sequence. So did that one in Call of Cthulhu a couple of times to great effect. I didn't overuse it, but yeah, there were a couple of times that something was going on, and Elliot and Paul and Ed were all like, "Oh!" and it turned out, oh, it was just a dream. So, campaign tone and theme. What is planetary romance? Romance, in the literary sense of the word, refers to a work that focuses on the extraordinary exploits of heroes. Romance harkens back to the medieval cycles of Arthur, Charlemagne, and the Greco-Roman epics. Indeed, the word itself ultimately derives from Roman. Planetary romance, then, is a specific genre of romance that takes place on an exotic alien world. But there's also romance, like the traditional definition of romance in the stories, too. What is rationalist pulp? Here we go. So, selecting an era, watching your players. I'm trying to figure out which narrator characters to focus on during play. Watch your players and their characters. In many cases, players will make it clear which villains they really despise and want to defeat, which romantic interests they wish to explore, and who they want as allies and regular members of the game's cast of characters. That's actually very true. That is a good tip. So we got conventions of the genre, expanding the world, crafting courtly love and intrigue, sources of inspiration. All right, so then we get into beasts. Not as much artwork as I was expecting. Pretty decent art. I have to admit, I think the artwork in the Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of corebook is a little more impressive. But I mean, there's some good artwork here. Yeah, the weird, like, multi-limbed lions. Nice. Alright, so we got a bit of a bestiary here. Unfortunately, some of these we're not getting images of, which, in my opinion, I always like. And yes, I know you can't always have an image or piece of artwork for each of the creatures or monsters in a bestiary, but I like seeing that. Alright, so good amount. There we go, the white apes. Pretty wild. Alright, further beasts. So a little bit of info if you're going to create your own creatures and beasts on Mars. And we got the Secrets of Barsoom. Strange locales and wonders. Things PCs were not meant to know. So we'll be covering that up. Playing Ghoulians. Silly and exceedingly rare, the kangaroo men, or Ghoulians as they prefer, are not a default playable race for John Carter of Mars. They have no real influence in politics, keep to one location exclusively, and they are deeply committed to only acting in great numbers while insisting they are brilliant adventurers. A true Ghoulian player character would be constantly running from conflict and then coming back and insisting nobody could have won without them. That is a fairly annoying player character option for most groups. That's kind of funny. I like that. All right. Strange and lost technologies. Champions of Barsoom. Here we go. Let's get into some NPCs. Here we go. Deja Thoris. Okay, so what I don't understand is... now here she's actually clothed. But especially like you see the Dynamite Entertainment comics, they do John Carter, which they're always like rebooting that series. But Deja Thoris is always either like topless or she's wearing like a bikini or like covering up certain areas of her cleavage with a wardrobe that makes Red Sonja look overdressed. So, I don't know why they always do that. So we got John Carter. Kantos Khan. There we go. Tars Tarkus. Becomes one of John Carter's staunchest allies. So we've got the different eras. So that's the first era. Now we move into the Prince of Helium era, which, if I remember right, I think this is the era where they think John Carter is dead. And then the Jetix era, which I believe, if I remember correctly, this deals more with John Carter's children. So I believe that is the case. So it looks like we're dropping some frames again, which is really weird. It seems like when we hit the hour mark, this kind of drops some frames. I don't know. That's kind of bizarre. And then it'll clear up, and then it'll be all right. So I don't know. Narrator character archetypes: assassins, benevolent leader, corrupt warlord, green Martian warrior, pirate or raider. It's got all of these. And then we've got backer characters. So yes, this was Kickstarter, so we've got some backer characters here. So these must be folks who pledged a pretty penny to get their characters included in this. Looks like there's quite a few of these. Okay, alrighty. Okay, Mine Merchants of Mars. Here's the introductory adventure. Designed for 3 to 6 new player characters. It works in any era of play or player character races with minimal adaptation. Okay, so let's see how long this is. So it seems as if, as with many role-playing games nowadays, it seems like it's kind of like scene-based as far as how this game plays out. So here we've got like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. And the end of it. Further adventures. Short adventure ideas. So we've got some adventure seeds here. Then we've got the character sheet, which is 2 sides. I want to say Drive-Thru RPG does have free downloadable character sheets. I'm not sure if they're fillable or not. And then we've got a list of all the backers. So we're looking at 278 pages. And that's what we find when we take a look at John Carter of Mars Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom core rulebook. So we've got the core rulebook right there. Let's take a look now at the Phantoms of Mars campaign guide. So this is about 128 pages, I believe. So taking a look here. Let's open this up. All right, once again, let's take a look at the credits there. So not as many artists and writers on this one. Let's pull this down a little bit. There we go. So, Phantoms of Mars is the first adventure series for John Carter of Mars Adventures on the Dying World of Barsoom. It's a complete campaign arc in 4 parts. Each part can be in order, or it can be interspersed with other adventures as part of a larger campaign. The focus of Phantoms of Mars is a conspiracy that spans the entire world of Barsoom and threatens to devastate many of the civilizations and people that call the Red Planet home. All right. It says it's aimed at a group of 3 to 5 player heroes that are relatively inexperienced and can be played with newly created characters. So, it says it's designed primarily for players who use their own characters. Playing as John Carter or other significant characters from the Burroughs novels is an option. Okay, so we got the cast of characters. So, of course, if you're somebody who's hoping that your game master is going to be picking up John Carter of Mars, as well as the Phantom campaign, I guess you should probably stop watching this. I'm sure there's going to be some spoilers here. Okay, so we've got, looks like here, we've got right up front, we've got some of the enemies that the players will run across. Yeah, got some monsters in here too. Although, that's weird. Okay, so here we got friends. So it says, this is a monster, Nalantir. It says brilliant neuroscientist and historian. So I'm not sure why they're classified as a monster. Don't know. Have no idea. Okay, so got some beasts. All right, then we got the adventure. So get all the a lot of the NPCs are presented to us right up front. So that's a little different. I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to seeing where They'll either put the NPCs in alongside the text as you're running across them, or sometimes in a index or a section at the end of the book. I'm not used to seeing them up front. It's kind of weird. So we got part 1, In the Shadows of Corvus. So it says, this adventure can take place in any era of play, but by default, it's assumed to happen during the Jeddak of Jeddak's era, which is the 3rd era. Huh, okay. A fine day for kidnapping. Why, yes. Okay, different scenes here. Let's make a deal. Hey, Monty Hall's in this. All right. We got traders and fugitives. Using tiles. Yeah, I believe there are some John Carter of Mars tiles that are out there. We'll have to see. If there are those. Oh, look. So I'm moving the bookmark as I was going to say. Yeah, I wonder. We're gonna have to see if those miniatures rules are in here, and that's where. That's actually where the bookmark was. So yes, they are in here. So we're still in part 2 of this. Looks like there's a good amount going on here. Okay, so now we've got scene 3. And then we get into part 4, which I believe this is the conclusion here. The path is long and full of perils, because the night is dark and full of terrors. Okay, so just kind of flipping on through here. Of course, not much to say because this is an adventure, and not reading the adventure, don't really know what's going on in it. So we've got all of that. So the adventure itself, what page were we on? 69 pages, and then we get into the skirmish rules. So we've got the different skirmish rules here. As I mentioned, here, we'll try to get a better look here, get a little closer up. The minis look pretty cool. The miniatures do look pretty darn cool. And I believe for the main characters, we actually have a few different poses. If I remember correctly, I think like John Carter, Deja Thoris, Tars Tarkas have a couple of different poses available for them. Ah, yes. Big white ape. I have to admit, though, I am kind of surprised, which, for the Star Trek Adventures, which is... Okay, so I've only reviewed the PDF of the core book for Star Trek Adventures, but I thought it was really well done, really nicely done. Modiphius Entertainment did the same thing. They put the skirmish rules in, I want to say one of like the Adventures books. It's available separately too, for free. I'm not sure if the skirmish rules will be available for free for John Carter of Mars. I'll guess it's possible. But I find it a little unusual that the skirmish rules are actually included in with the adventure. So I find that a little unusual. So I don't know. So we got some advanced rules for the skirmish. We got objectives. We even have rules for Martian flyers. Okay. I don't believe they have miniatures for the Martian flyers. 99.9% sure they don't. So we've got unit profiles. We've got the different heroes. We've got different beasts. And skirmish scenarios. Your first game, the arena. So we got a few different scenarios here. And then says the fall of Eidolon. It says whether your group played through Phantoms of Mars or not does not diminish the enjoyment of this loose sequel. Over the course of these scenarios, players fight for secrets long buried. So this is a campaign for the skirmish game. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. All right, so looks like there's a map with like the Martian flyers on it. So, okay. So I think there's tiles. I don't think they're in this book, but I think there are tiles for the Martian flyers. That's probably what that is. All right, so it looks like there's 6 parts to that campaign, and then we got a glossary of the 2D20 skirmish rules. All right, cool. And that is what we find when we take a peek at the Phantom of Mars campaign guide for John Carter of Mars. So we've got both the core rulebook and the Phantom of Mars, which come in the slipcase, the collector's slipcase from Modiphius Entertainment. All right, sweet. So I am actually going to be jumping in and checking these out. So, because I'm pretty pumped. I like Modiphius Entertainment's role-playing games. I got to be honest, I haven't dug into a lot of them, but I'm always releasing news about them. But yeah, so this looks pretty cool. So I will have a review of John Carter of Mars in probably within the next couple of weeks, is what I'm thinking. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. As I mentioned, on tomorrow's show, I am going to be reviewing The Witcher role-playing game from Untitled Games, as well as CD Projekt Red, as well as doing a kind of a first look at Dark War Rebooted from Tiny Battle Publishing. So, I pointed out, I was going to mention once again that there's a way for one other lucky viewer to win a copy of the core rules for John Carter of Mars in PDF. All you gotta do is, in the comment section, just tell me who is your favorite science fiction character. Simple enough, just leave it as a comment, and please present it as my favorite science fiction hero or character is. Don't just throw out a name there. So, anyway, that's it for tonight's show. As I like to point out, when you're not watching The Daily Dope, please be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you for everybody who joined me in chat tonight. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.